Today's webinar is the road to data privacy capability, the integrated data privacy capability model. We're going to tell you how the IDPP complements other certifications that you may have already, or you're seeking soon. We're going to tell you what the model covers from a GRC perspective, and of course, we'll tell you how you can get certified.
So some of you are wondering, there are already lots of professional certification courses on data privacy, and you will notice that yet there is another one, and we call it the integrated data privacy capability model. Together with the panel, I'd like to first explain the history behind how it all started.
I recall when we were putting the index for this together, in the first version we had 88 privacy breaches. And at the outset, it felt like, how could we possibly write 88 different chapters? As soon as we started thinking about the topics to cover, it just unrolled by magic. We easily got to 88. And it's all the practical stuff. We hear lots of stories, we see lots of headlines in the paper about state-sponsored sophisticated cyber attacks. But more often than not, it's really just something that's been done carelessly, by a staff.
What really compelled us to write this book was ourselves as consumers at the receiving end of how certain companies or businesses don't treat our personal data in the proper manner.
Because we documented these operational practices, we were very grateful that many regulators, they were actually using this book as a guide in terms of citing operational practices and practical tips on what people should be doing. Globally, the reset button is being pressed on privacy. We have new data protection laws, or laws are actually being amended here. So as we see the data protection laws being rolled out, there's firstly going to be a demand for data protection expertise, especially demand for data protection officers.
One of the things we have realized is that a lot of data privacy officers or data protection officers, they tend to focus on complying with the law from the legal rather than the operational point of view. What actually get companies into trouble with the different functional groups, different people who are operating on the ground do not know how to operationalize the law and the principles into their day-to-day operations.
A lot of companies are trying to recover from post-pandemic, are struggling to survive. The Russian-Ukraine war isn't making things easier, and we have a bleak economic outlook right now. So if you were to go to management and you tell them, hey, you got to comply with data protection laws, you will see that the focus will not be there. Their focus will actually be on digital transformation as well. You're dealing with the governance, risk management, and compliance of laws concerning personal data. So we think that data protection will move towards data governance, where your efforts should not just be reducing the risk of data, but also increasing the value of data, because data is going to be used for decision making and in your digital transformation efforts.
As we were developing that first model, it became very clear to us that bringing together, standardizing, and integrating compliance efforts wasn't sufficient. That what was really needed was something that would drive what we call principled performance, the ability to reliably achieve objectives, all of your business objectives, while addressing uncertainty and acting with integrity. Hundreds of people worked on that model and agreed to adopt that concept that we call GRC. What you need is a clear set of processes, a model for how you learn what's going on in your internal and external environment, what your stakeholders' concerns are, and then taking that knowledge to define your goals and to align them to your business objectives, to align them to the structure of your organization, and then to systematically perform those procedures, actions, controls, and ensure that you can monitor for continuous improvement of them.
We assume that many of you in the audience today, you are privacy professionals. There's a difference between legal and operational compliance. That when you look at the everyday privacy practices, you're actually governing personal data. You're looking at managing risks relates to personal data, and obviously everyone knows that there is a need to comply with the data protection laws. So the GRC aspect is actually missing. You might just carry the DPO title in name, but you may not necessarily have the practical steps to put together your data privacy program or data protection management program. If you get certified, as you can see here, we call an integrated data privacy professional. This is the ideal certification for you. It gives you all the different elements you need to consider to enhance your data privacy management program. For those of you who are auditors, who are just in legal, compliance, risk management, if you take the integrated data privacy model exam and get certified as an IDPP, you then have a roadmap to go into the privacy domain. And that's where you can then proceed on to have your specialized privacy certifications.
Too often we hear the story, oh, this is a compliance person's job, a risk management's job. You can just contain within yourself. Don't disturb our salespeople, don't disturb our business people, because they have not got the GRC perspective to say, hey, colleagues, this is very important.
I agree that taking the procedures and the thought process that you develop when you understand the GRC capability model and applying it in the data privacy context, or more broadly to data governance overall, is really a critical step in having success in this program and in gaining the support, not just the tolerance, but the support of business executives at every level in the organization. This is the nature, this is why we call it an integrated approach. I don't personally think of GRC as a supplemental activity in an organization. It really represents the modern way of managing business to ensure that you can achieve principled performance. What we are presenting is a hands-on live training course that you can sign up for and participate in a cohort structure over a number of weeks. But the training, in this case, I think that hands-on training is even more important than it is in the context of a general GRC training, because the specifics, country to country to country, data privacy regulation is changing even during this webinar.
Data privacy professionals tend to look at data privacy as something within the law, and they do not know how to operationalize it. And also, there's not enough visibility at the board level, at the senior management level. So there's always this tendency to view data privacy activities as some kind of backroom job. So much so that sometimes whatever work they do gets forgotten until a data breach hits the organization. What we have done in this integrated model is to elevate the status of data privacy into one of the important agenda items of senior management, where we look at not only the information life cycle, as you can see in the center of this model, but also the broader GRC elements of learn, align, perform, and review. And all these are linked to business objectives and to principled performance.
You can sign up as a member of 𝗟𝗟𝗏 for no cost at all. You just go to the website and you sign in, you log in, and you become a free basic member of 𝗟𝗟𝗏. When you do that, you can go to our resources section, and under standards, go to the type of resource standards. You can download at no cost the integrated data privacy capability model, the GRC capability model, and our policy management capability model. These are all free to you, and they are open source. Then, if you want to be certified, you would step up and acquire an 𝗟𝗟𝗏 All Access Pass. That is normally $399 for an annual pass.
For those of you who are interested, not just to pass the exam, you want to get a feel of how you put together a data privacy program for your organization, applying the GRC capability model, applying what we have put together in the integrated data privacy model. We have a course coming up. In order to give you that hands-on experience, we are going to be making available e-learning so you could watch it, but every week there will be a live session by us, and we'll be there to answer your questions, because in the actual training there are scenarios where we're going to be using the bundled data protection management software and get you to work on it so that the whole model becomes real. You'll be asked to do a capstone project so that when you complete the course, you have already started something that can be adapted by your organization.
We talked about why an integrated model was needed. And I think Carol mentioned that, this is talking about modern business practices. And also I think Lynn and William talking about buy-in and how you want to do it right. And of course, there are blind spots for any organization. You work in different departments, different silos, but an integrated approach will serve you well and help you take on the challenges of today. Also about the training, it's hands-on. Why is this important? It's not just about getting the certification. It's not just about maintaining your CPE points. This training, you can apply it to your organization. And also, as Lynn was talking about, you realize how the data flows through your organization as you go through these kinds of hands-on training, the legal basis for collecting and using data. And we talked about OSAC membership, as well as how you can join this course.
For more data protection resources, visit www.dpaxnetwork.org, the Data Protection Excellence Network, and sign up for free as a member to have full access to all content. Do also like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn if you found this useful.